Well, we're in the minute, and my sidekick isn't with me today, Tony McGee, but we've got some brothers here today to find out a little bit more about their childhood, their upbringing, and what they've done after football. Guest today is Santana and Sinorice Moss. So, guys, welcome to In the Minute podcast.
Thank you.
What's up, Donna? I appreciate you. Tony, we miss you, buddy.
No, we didn't, Tony. We didn't really miss you. but anyway, let's jump right into this. Both of you all, when you look at it at your credentials, and Santana, I already told you that I'm going to find out a little bit more about you. So Noah, don't hold back. Spill the beans on Santana. All those childhood secrets and so forth. I want to know all about it. Nicknames. Who beat up who was the bully of the family, all those good things. Because look, I come from a family of 10, so I understand that the siblings and everything. But you look at you all's upbringing. Both of you all went to the University of Miami. Mm-hmm. Both are wide receivers. You were standouts in college also. Santana, you played 14 years in the NFL with the New York Jets, and you finished off with the Washington Redskins. And I say Washington Redskins because you were not Commanders. So I want to get it straight right there. Yeah. And so Noah, you played, was drafted by the New York Giants and played with them, got a Super Bowl, yes. And also played in the Canadian Football League. So let's just jump right into this. Talk to me about just you all as kids coming up, because I want people to know you all a little more of your upbringing, and you ended up, the path that you all took to the University of Miami. So Santana, I'll start with you since you're the older sibling of the two.
I mean, my upbringing or our upbringing was, to me, I can say any older brother, little brother, experience, I guess you can say, or call it. Sinorice and my younger brother, Lloyd, Nori 4 years under me, Lloyd, I think 6.5, 7 almost. I treated those guys like a big brother's supposed to treat their little brothers. You know what I mean? I wanted them to experience everything that I was experiencing. I reflect back now a lot that I'm done, that I have time to sit back and I just think about some of the things that we experienced. Like we played football, we ran track. And when we wasn't doing that stuff for the park, we was doing that out there amongst each other. I would put them on certain levels of the street and say, y'all get here, Lord, you get here, try to give them head starts and have somebody say go, and I'll try to go run them down. And stuff that you do for fun end up becoming practice and work. And then you see our efforts on the field or on the track, and you be like, wow, like how are these guys able to compete at that level? It's because we're doing this all day, every day. In the same way with the football field, we would go out and play sandlot with guys in the neighborhood. And guys would want to get Sinorice to get on their team because they knew that that's the chance. That's the only way they had a chance of beating me. And I look back at all that stuff, man. But I was always that, and I don't know how Nori feel about it, but I feel like I've always expressed how a big brother should do to his little brother. I made sure that it wasn't just about me; it was about us.
Hey, Sinorice, did that help as far as the way Santana kind of like helped groom you all in kind of like creating or helping you create that path for you all?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, at that time, we wasn't really thinking that anything. We were just having fun. We going outside, we playing together as brothers. We playing at the park with, our friends and guys in the neighborhood. And like you said, they always wanted me on their team. They was like, all three of y'all on the same team? No way. So Santana, you take the little brother, we'll take Sinorice, so. But we always went outside and had fun, man. That's one thing we did, man. We used to race each other, play throw, tackle in the house, get in trouble, you name it, man. We did it.
Donna, my dream was to play football always. So, and I know we all have different dreams and goals or whatever it may be. But with that being said, it wasn't that my dad said, "Here go to football, Tanner. Let's go out here." No, that's what I told him I wanted to do. And it wasn't that my dad was there to throw the ball to me and that, he worked a lot, him and my mom both. It was amongst us to do that with each other. I used Nori. It's crazy. He was 4 years under me, but he had a serious little cannon on him. And I'm like, you're going to be a quarterback one day because he's always throwing the ball to me. So that was always my dream. Now, I'm not saying that necessarily that was Nori's dream or Lloyd's dream, but being that I was the oldest, I was going to look, we playing enough football that we all can piggyback off this thing and make something out of it. And I think if you look back at our careers, the whole journey towards us all becoming, playing on the college level, Lloyd played at FIU. You look back at it and say, dang, that's rare you get, and now you see it a lot more now because I see the guys over here, the Fuller brothers, they have a pretty good, story too when it comes to all those guys playing professionally. But we don't all get lucky to do that. But just seeing that Nori was able to come piggyback off of me, it was a great feeling just knowing that, even though I didn't have somebody to kind of pave the way, I was able to pave the way and have those guys, have my younger brothers get a chance to have that same experience that I've always said from day one that I wanted to do as a, that was my main particular goal.
Hey, Santana, that's key because you said that you knew early on that your dream was to be a NFL football player. So that's, a lot of people struggle with what they want to do in life and everything. So Noise, what about you? Was that your path? And Santana talked about you had a cannon for an arm. Why did you not pursue the quarterback versus wide receiver?
Well, growing up, we were fast, man. So I wanted to play running back more than anything.
Okay.
So even though I was outside throwing the football to him all the time and we were playing catch, I wanted to run the football because we had speed. So for me, with playing football, I just wanted to run from everybody. I just wanted to get the ball and run as fast as I could to try to score a touchdown. But as we got older, for me, I think it was more so in the arts. Like even when Tanner wanted to be outside all day, I wanted to go inside and watch movies. I wanted to go inside and watch my TV shows because that was the things that I was really interested in. And I was standing up singing. And
I gave you a lot of flack for that too, Don. We'll be outside and people like, where Nori? I'm like, man, he in there watching TV, man. And then he come trot out there halfway in the game and then come play for somebody else. I used to hate that part of it.
Hey, Santana, he was setting himself up for his dream as far as acting. He didn't even realize that he was birthing that into existence too. But I guess you said before you get there, we're going to do the sports thing. But you two talked about as far as just not football. And a lot of football players, they always push them into track. You talk about Gerald Green, you talk about Herschel Walker and some of the other guys that have been key in track and field too. I looked at y'all's numbers as far as track and field. Talk to me a little bit about that path also as far as I look at those numbers, the speed and the 55 meters, the 100 meters and everything. Did you foresee yourself going that way?
Man, I hated track.
You hate running, right? It's just running.
See, don't get me wrong. I understood what it did for me, but I hated to practice track. I felt like it was just it was like, what's the end result? You get faster, like you beat somebody. Like football.
You go to the Olympics.
That too. But I'm saying like football always gave me that perspective that I do this route well enough. I get open, I catch the ball, I can score, I can make someone look silly. Track, it was just like we were just running so much all day, every day. But I did it. I did it because I knew one, it was kind of I guess you could say it fell in my lap. Like I didn't pursue track or wanted to. It was just like somebody said, hey, come try out for the track team. Excuse me. And once we started doing it, we was like, okay, I like this, and then eventually you get older and it started kind of get like, man, this is like Groundhog Day. Like, I'm tired of this. It's beating me up, beating my body up. But when you see your body of work from participating in track, and, I tell folks all the time, I wasn't the fastest guy out there. I ended up finding out later in my career in track that, look, I'm not going to keep running. Even though I'm fast, I consider my speed is enough for football. I wasn't a world-class track athlete when it came to speed-wise. Those guys really could run. But I knew that running track had me able to be one of those guys on the football field. But my other thing with track was I was a great jumper. And you look at me and say, man, this dude barely 5'10", but I can jump. I'm talking about, you name it. You put me in long jump, triple jump, I had some hops. And so I realized earlier in high school that this is what I want to pursue more on the track side. I want to be a jumper. And that's what became, being a jumper in high school got me my first state championship individually and as a team. And that got me into college. So, even though I didn't like track as far as running, I just hated running. But I knew track was going to benefit me just what it did for me, you know, on the football field and also getting a chance to get in college.
Sinorice, talk to me about track and field because, looking at your numbers and everything, and you said that you wanted to be a running back, but both of you are ended up being wide receivers, and it's speed is what's needed for both of those positions and everything. So talk to me about your track path and everything. Did you see yourself, running beyond just the college level?
No, not at all. I mean, for me,
Did you hate it too? Did you
no,
hate track and field?
I hated the practicing part, but
everybody
actually going out there and competing and running against these guys that, we grew up with, it was a blast for me. We started when we were maybe 6, 7 years old running track at the park.
Yeah.
And as the years, went on, we got faster and faster. Things started moving. I'm like, okay, I'm doing something right, And then eventually when I got to high school and competing at that level and running with guys that I grew up with, track was something that helped and benefit us on the football field. And then we had the understanding of how that, coincided and went together.
I want to cut you off, Nuri. I also would say I want to give Nuri his flowers. So when you look at my path in track as a high school athlete, I wasn't able to compete on a high level when it comes to the sprints. So Norris was top in his class in the 100, 200. I knew that I'm not as fast as those guys. So, and I'm not to say that I probably couldn't be. I was fast. I just hated the part of, preparing myself.
Training.
Bingo. So when you don't put the work in, you don't get a chance to go out there and, reap the results. So me knowing that, man, look here, I don't want to go through that whole process of beating myself up to be faster than what I am. I'm okay. But Sinorice, he was dominant. He was top 3 guys in the state of Florida in 100, 200. You know what I mean? So to me, when folks used to ask me, and I know I got some years on him, who was faster, I would always say, well, I would give Nuri that because he had the 400 in him. He could run that quarter. I couldn't run a quarter. I hated the quarter.
I hate the quarter too.
That quarter used to burn me up so much of that lactic acid built up in them legs, man, and I couldn't stand it. But I will always give him that because I felt like he was a true sprinter. I can run out of this world. But when I say a true sprinter, you look at a guy who knows how to dig, know when it's time to accelerate. Nuri had all the phases. I was just a guy I'm gonna give you 0 to 60 right now. And if I can stay ahead of you, then I'm gonna win. If I don't, then
it's over.
So
but you know what? I know people hated to see you all coming. The 3 brothers, it's almost like, okay, we can't, they football, here they come teaming us on us and track and field and everything. What's the noise? What was your favorite between the 100 and the 200? My favorite was the 200. I ran both track too. They always threw athletes, whether you play basketball or anything, into track, which it, like you said, it helped in the long run. But did you like the 200 more so than the 100, or what was your favorite?
I was a 100 guy. I loved the 100. I didn't like
the
200.
That's too fast.
I didn't like the 200 too much. I mean, of course, I ran the 200 to help me with the 100, but I loved the 100. And surprisingly enough, I taught myself how to do the 110 hurdles in high school.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I taught myself how to do the 110 hurdles and competed all through high school running the 110 hurdles. And also I did some long jumping as well, but I more so stuck to the 110 hurdles, and then I went right into the 100.
Okay, y'all got to tell me some fun facts for everybody, because I told you I was going to dig a little bit about Santana Sinorice. Did Santana have any nicknames, and what do you remember most about growing up as the younger brother? I know he already said that he made you come outside because you wanted to watch TV too much and you didn't want to work on your craft.
see, being young, we didn't realize that we was working on our craft. Like for me, I was like, okay, we was outside long enough, we played long enough. Let me go do what I really want to do now, watch these TV shows and sing and do everything else, because that was my thing. That's what I love doing. But I did, after I got finished doing that, I always went back outside and competed and had fun and played as well. But I can say, growing up, I mean, Tanner was a competitor, man. He wanted us to compete. Like I said, he was always, like he said, he always had me and my younger brother Lloyd with him. And we competed, man. We played, we got in trouble in the house throwing up football and everything else. We got after it. We definitely got after it. So that's something that I remember the most.
One of my fondest memories about just in the house alone you know, because you know it can be boring when you don't have, like, we had everything, but we didn't have everything. You know what I mean? Like my mom and dad worked their behinds off to make sure we had everything we needed, but we probably didn't have everything we wanted. You understand? So, but you got brothers, you got siblings. So at the end of the day, you don't need much. You don't need friends when you got siblings.
No,
and being
you
the
got
old
your own football team or
yeah.
sports team right there with you.
Yeah, exactly. So one of my fondest memories is just being in the house with those, with both of my younger brothers. I remember just our little throw up tackle football games in the den. We had this little den that was like our sanctuary. Like we would literally get up out of our rooms and we go do everything in the den. And my mom and dad would just come downstairs. We had like 3-4 little steps to get down to the den, and they would just fuss and cuss us out. You've been unseen a hole in the wall from me hitting somebody or him. Somebody ran into the wall,
now.
the couch. And that was our little thing that let me know early. Like I said, Nori might have not thought about it, but I knew this is going to get us better. All us, we out here doing this. And what we didn't know was we was grooming our younger brother was like he was something to reckon with early in his career through the parks playing football. And we didn't know at the time we was grooming that because he had to go against us so much. By the time he got to compete with kids his age, I mean, I remember coming to the park and his game was stopped. And we like, why the game stopped? They had the ambulance on the field, and they like, man, Lil Lloyd just knocked somebody out, man. The dude showed the helmet, everything. And Lloyd was a punisher. Like he played safety. Everybody that came across that dude path, he would punish him. But I laughed about it because I'm like, man, that's us just beating up on him so much in the house. He come out here with these kids his age, man, and he was a fun child. Like he's one of those kids that's gonna always crack jokes. He ain't never mad about nothing. Me and Nori probably had the short fuses. Lloyd always happy, But when it came to playing football, he runs with somebody's child. You know what I mean? So them some of the memories I've always, look back on, just knowing that you really don't know. You know what I mean? I try to tell my kids now, like the stuff that you're doing daily, it's going to carry over. So you try to make sure you're doing something that's going to contribute to what you're trying to do. And I be on my youngest son, Savion, about that all the time, like catch the ball or do this. Because I understand, we grew up a lot different. We didn't have things. The kids today, especially my kids,
they have everything.
Yeah, they have enough to keep them occupied from some of the things they might need to focus on more. So having those brothers, man, it did wonders for what I was able to become because, like I said before, that was my goal. I didn't necessarily say I wanted them to follow me, but if I'm the big brother, come on, we're going to go out here and do it together. And eventually it all worked out for the,
Hey, you like a big brother like Santana, right, Sinorice? Because he set the tone in the beginning. What's a fond memory that you have as far as you playing with Santana, as far as just a kid? I don't want to jump into the NFL right now, but as a kid, as you all are grooming to become who you are today.
I would say us racing all the time. So in our yard, it was like a house next to ours, and they had like a driveway that went around. And Santana, like he said, he would set myself up and my youngest brother, give us a head start, and we would literally race each other all the way down, like, to the stop sign and back. Constantly going back and forth, racing each other. And that was definitely a memory for us, man, because we went after it. Like he would try to come get us, and it was times that he couldn't, So we knew, like, okay, I'm getting fast because he couldn't catch us this time, So that was those memories that really were like, okay, we having a blast out here, man. Because we would go from running to playing basketball to the backyard fish to go play football at the park, come back and do it all over again. So we constantly were competing and setting ourselves up for the future.
Hey, when you all sat down and just be kicking it around as a family, what stands out most about the success that you all have had off the field and on the field?
We probably, and I wonder about this all the time. We just still the same family that we was, 20 some odd years ago. Like, it's no different in us. Like, you would think, folks ask me this all the time. They're like, Tanner, how is it to be in the house? Nori made it to the league. You made it to the league. Lloyd played ball in college. Your mom and them should be proud. And I'm like, yeah, they're probably proud. But, bro, it's no different than us. We just sit around each other and we don't even mention half of that stuff, because it's just not something that we think about. We just done it. I mean, I've always sought out to make my parents proud. And I want to make them proud at just doing business, just being successful. You know, I didn't know I was going to become a professional athlete, but that's all I had banking on anything. I was like, look here, this is either do or die. Like, I'm either going to make it here. And, you know, just to share a little quick story with you, I told somebody the other day, I was like, I remember going from my junior year to my senior year, and I was about to go tell my mom, like, well, you know, I understand we don't have money. So I know I'm probably not gonna go to college, but I'm just letting you know I was trying hard to get myself a scholarship. And it was like, I don't know if how the way the world worked, but that thought was on my mind to have this conversation sooner or later. But everything just changed. Like I went from being nobody or someone who was just competing to where now I'm in the front page. I'm being talked about. And it's like it was a snap of a finger. And before you know it, now I got offers at the yin yang. So that right there, that story alone always comes up because I hear so many kids now it's a lot different, but they don't understand like it's never over until it's over. Like all that hard work I had put into it finally started paying dividends for me. And so I look back at that stuff now and like I can just imagine how they felt because I saw it on their face when we all became what we became. But when we're around each other in the house, man, we just come to see our parents and we just kicking it. We ain't saying nothing about no football. We might be talking about a game that's on right now, but we're not even talking about our years of playing against each other, you know?
Not at all.
How about you, Sinorice? I want to read something that I saw on your IG. You said, a good life is when you smile often, dream big, laugh a lot, and realize how blessed you are.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters. It's not about, you know, what we were able to accomplish or do or how successful we are or what occupation we hold. The main thing is, man, like I can sit around, I can be around my brothers, I can be around my son and my family and sit back and smile. That's it. That's how I know how blessed I am. To have the relationship that I have with my siblings and with my parents, I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed.
You know what? I want to read something else you said. You said you never know how or when it will happen, but you have to continue working towards your dreams. And both you and Santana, when you talk about Santana, you knew right away that you were going to go this path and everything. How difficult was it for you all? Because everybody thinks that when they look at you all, you made it to the NFL, you are successful after the NFL, but they don't know the path and the struggles and all of those things that you had to go through in order to accomplish what you did. And I want to hear from both of you all on that one.
I think one of the things that stands out to me, and this probably just my journey, just a part of some of the things I went through, and I love it now, just looking back at it, because it taught me a lot about how you have to be in life. It's a lot of starting and stopping, or starting and starting over, and folks don't realize there's a lot of folks that I've played around. It's guys that was way better than me that I played Optimus ball with, Little League ball with, and I'm like, they came to that roadblock before, just like me. And instead of finding a way to go around it, go under it, go over it, they just stopped and quit. It meant so much to me to have what I've always wanted, to where when I was told to sit down because of scoliosis, when I'm laying down on the floor every night trying to get my spine straight, not knowing if it's straight or not, I'm still thinking about when I get back out there on that field. When I hurt my knee and they telling me that I got these growing pains in my knee and I can't play, I'm sitting there thinking like, boy, when it's over with, I'm gonna get back out on this field. Then when you finally make it and you're back on that field, you're not even realizing that you just had a couple of roadblocks that you could have easily took that detour and went somewhere else. And then it happens again. Now you're playing and you get injured playing. And you're saying to yourself, when I get out of this, I can't wait till I get back on. So, I say all that to say this, that we go through that in life. You have many guys that's successful, occupation-wise, maybe career-wise, but it's stuff that happens every day in your life, and it's almost like a test. You know what I mean?
The real stuff.
It's real stuff. And go through those trials and tribulations through my sport, through football, having the mentors that we had, that we came across through those journeys, being able to talk that stuff in us and give us the confidence to overcome it. It makes it worth your while. It makes it worth his while. And that's why I know now you only go through stuff so you can be able to appreciate what's coming. You know what I'm saying?
And it
So
makes you too.
bingo. So you know, I've always had a saying, and it's come from everybody done said this a million times, and my homeboy said it a lot when we was younger. You know, pressure either gonna make diamonds or bust pipes. You know what I'm saying? And we just sit there and I just hear my homeboy saying it, and then you hear old folks say it, and it's real. You know what I mean? Because it's like, man, like you can really sit there and be pressured or put or have as much pressure as it is. I remember a night that I got some nerves out of the bed, and I know I'm dropping around a little stuff, but stuff was pop up, you know, in my head. I remember the game before my state championship game in high school. I dropped the ball. I dropped 2 balls that night. I didn't, and you rarely get any balls when I was in high school. So if you dropping a couple of passes, you're not getting no more that night. And I had went on a streak from the beginning of the playoffs to that game of I had like touchdowns, like 2 or 3 touchdowns a game. And that's when they just had started throwing me the ball. And that night before the state game, instead of me feeling happy that we made it to state and I was a big impact, I was sad and pissed off in my head. Like, I just dropped 2 balls, 2 big balls. It wasn't like something that no one saw. It was like, oh, 2 letdown balls. But we were still able to overcome that as a team. I got Nuri out of bed. It's pitch black. We went out there and caught passes. And I told myself, man, in the state game, I'm going to catch the ball. They're going to throw that ball to me again. I'm going to catch the ball. We go in the state game. I caught the first touchdown. So, you know what I mean? Like, I think about stuff like that because I don't know how many kids have those same moments to go back and reflect on. But I was doing things then that was going to help me later on because you experience that again somewhere in your career. But you got to know how to overcome it or know how to combat it.
So Noah, what about you? Those struggles in getting to where you are today.
Yeah, I think about a quote that I learned. I think it was back in high school. It said, "Adversity causes some men to break and others to break records." And I had it like on a little notepad, and I had it in my locker in high school. And I think about it because we went to the same high school as well, Miami Carroll City Senior High School, and I wasn't getting many passes thrown to me. We was a running offense. We ran the football all the time, but every day I went out there like I was going to get that ball. I prepared myself every day like I was going to catch a pass. And no matter what I went through, ankle injuries, not getting the passes, I still prepared myself every single day like I was going to get a catch. And when that opportunity finally came, I remember my coach pulled me to the side and he asked me, like, how they playing you? I'm like, they playing me off, coach, And he's like, all right, we throwing the ball to you. And I'm like, okay, let me get prepared to throw. Ran a route, caught a pass. I ran 80 yards for a touchdown. That was like my first touchdown in high school. And I just think about all the time that it took to get to that point. Like it wasn't easy. I mean, every day we were going out to practice and we were just running the football, and face injuries and so many different things. But I stayed the course. And a lot of times, a lot of people don't stay the course. Like Santana said, they stop, they give up, they don't go over it. They don't, they completely stop. And I know so many different guys that were in the same position that I was in that walked away from the game because they wasn't getting passes. And I think about it now with my son being in high school. He's a sophomore, and it's completely different. It's completely different. You have kids transferring schools because they're not getting the pass. You have kids stop playing ball because they're not getting what they want. And they don't understand, like, if they stay into it and they do what they have to do when that opportunity comes, they'll be prepared. So.
Well, it's kind of amazing because the thing that you're talking about, and anybody that's going to be listening to this, is that you said you stayed the course and you put the work in, and you didn't let hard times deter you from pressing forward because the passion and the hunger for what you wanted to the end results to be is evident in you making it to the NFL. So let's talk about the NFL. You two ended up in the NFC East, the division that you were going to play each other. Santana, you with the Washington Redskins, and Samoa, you with the New York Giants and everything. Noah. So talk about just that's pretty special when you talk about this because your paths just kind of like kept you all together in one way or another. Talk about those meetups on those Sunday games, the Giants against the Redskins, and those matchups. I mean, you both played on the offensive side of the ball. But I mean, did you all talk to each other the night before? Because I know that if I got a sibling, I don't care if they play for another team, you're the enemy right now until that game is over.
Yeah, I think me and Nuri probably, and I don't know for him. I care less about my brother being on the other team. Man. Honestly, I knew that's my brother over there. Hey, I'm gonna go say what's up, bro. Have a good game. But I care less about him. I wasn't even going against him. I played every game that we played against him as if he wasn't even over there because I didn't have to go against him. He was a receiver like me, so I'm hoping that he go out there and have a chance to get off, and that's about it. But those other guys, I had no love for. You know what I'm saying? But my brother's the only number, or probably a couple of other guys that played at UM or something that I knew that I wanted to go over there and say hi to after the game, before the game, or just chop it up with. But besides that, like I told you before, I don't know if it's odd that we just this type of family, but you wouldn't even know that we was playing against each other. You know what I mean? It was just one of those things. We didn't call each other before the game. We didn't do none of that. It was a regular week for us. And the only way you knew it was something different is if the parents was up at one of the, when we playing here, my mom might be here. If they playing in New York, they'll be in New York. So that's the only thing that made it special, just knowing we was going up against each other. I think also, and this is for me, I notice a lot of this stuff I'm saying is all for me. I'll be so in tune to what I'm doing, I never reflect until it's time to. You understand? Like, as much as I could have sat there and paused and say, let me take in this moment, my brother that I, from day one that I've been grooming or, showing him this game and how much this game meant to me. He's on the other side and I'm gonna be facing him. If I would have ever took that opportunity, maybe I would have probably have something more to share with you, but I didn't. I didn't take chances back then, man. And it's something that I learned early in my career because I was always scared not to be successful or not make it. You understand? So when I was in the moment of whatever I was doing, I stayed in that moment. I didn't never want to go outside the box. And so it's crazy because I know other people just say, hey man, I'm here. Let's go have fun, bro. You wanna have a drink, you wanna go do something. Me, I was always tunnel vision. You know what I mean? I'm focused on just going out there and being successful, having a good run, having a good game, and hopefully trying to beat them. He got a good record against us, man. They was tearing us up. But at the end of the day, like I said before, it didn't even bother me that they was beating us so much because he was on the team.
Yep, that's for sure. I mean, I think we always spoke before the games. I know a few years when he did come in town, he would stop by the house. We would talk, be in the living room, chilling, talking before he goes back to the hotel. But for us, man, for me, I was so happy to have the opportunity to actually play against my brother on that big stage. And we faced him twice each year. And then to have my parents there and to have, our cousins and everyone, my younger brother be there. And they have their jerseys split, one Redskins jersey, one Giants jersey with our numbers on it. I thought it was really, really cool to have that experience. But like Santana said, man, we were so locked in on the actual game. It wasn't like I ever had to go against him, actually like I think one year I did tackle him on like the punt return. They put me in the game. They was like, go get your brother. I remember that for sure. Mm-hmm. But other than that, man, we were so locked in, like you said, and just focus on what we had to do as far as like, with our team, just trying to win the football game, just ultimately trying to win the football game. But the whole experience of having, playing against my brother twice a year, man, I thought it was always pretty cool. And just him setting that stage for us at a very, very young age, man. Like Santana inspired not only myself, but cousins and friends to, and motivated us to see like, hey man, this is possible. Like this dream is really possible. And I think it really clicked for me once I got to high school, like seeing my brother make that transition from high school to college and have the success that he had at the University of Miami. And I'm like, I can do that too, man. Like my brother could do it. I know I can do that. And that always, gave me that, that motivation and that confidence to say like, my big brother doing it, I know I can do it too. And that made me work even harder to get to that point.
That's pretty special to be able to talk about playing with your siblings from pee-wee through high school, through college, and then to share the even more special moments as far as NFL players also. So you can't take that back. So y'all got a lot of great memories to be able to reach back and grab down through the years. And Santana, you set the standards from early on. You were beyond your years earlier on. I hope you know that, as far as just setting up
Yeah.
things for your siblings, and not just you, but your siblings to be able to follow. And most people don't realize that the example that you set, that your brothers probably look at as far as that example, because like you said, you had your parents, but you almost stepped in as a parent role too.
Yeah, I remember I remember Nuri and Lloyd got in trouble in school and they had to stop playing football. And I remember my mom was like, I go outside every day. I was one of those guys, you want can keep me in the house. I cried when it rained and I couldn't go outside. Like,
Me too.
that's the kind of kid I was. I wanted to be outside to play. But I remember she knew I had them. When Nuri and Lloyd went outside that door, she knew she could rest assured Big Brother got them. And the school that they went to was literally
Right
three
across.
houses down. You can go 3 houses down and you go through the little gate. They had a flag football team, and the coach, he knew them from being at that school. And he like, hey man, you want to put them on the team? I know they ain't playing football this year. They can play flag with me. I'm like, where y'all play at? I got the rundown, and every day I would, make sure when they come outside to play, they come over here and practice a little bit, and then on Saturdays, I tell my mom like, we finna go somewhere. I gotta go. We finna go watch this thing. And they'll be playing flag. She wouldn't even know it. You know what I mean? I wanted them to, and they wanted to do it too. It wasn't just on me. But I remember they were supposed to be on punishment from playing football. And I'm like, nah, they finna play. And they played flag and they went out there and kicked behind. I mean, they were so good. And I look back at that all the time, man. I had a childhood friend. He was much older than me. When I first moved into this neighborhood that we were staying in Murder Grove, he was a guy that came and got me out of the house a lot. My dad, I remember everyone knew that my dad was like that no nonsense dad. So guys used to laugh and joke about it back then. Like, boy, you better be careful. You go to Tanner house, knock on the door. This dude comes to the door and he ain't play. My dad didn't have to say nothing. They just saw his face.
They
And
just gave that
yeah.
look. They just
So
have to
I
look.
remember this old behind dude knocking on the door. Say, man, it's little Santana home, and that's what they call me, little Santana. I'm a little scrawny little dude, but everybody knew I was fast. They would come get me out of the house to go play sandlot with the older kids. And that particular dude, he not here today. God bless his dead. His name was Corey G. Duke. Called him Duke. He ended up going to prison. And I ain't seen him for a while. I ain't seen him for a long time. By the time next time I saw him, this from me being in ninth grade when he first went in, I believe. I ain't see him again until I was probably as a Redskin. He was in there for a long time. And I remember something he said to me that to this day I still think about it. And it makes me smile just thinking about it. He was like, Santana, when I was locked up, when your games used to come on, man, that was like the greatest feeling because we saw that. We saw that in you. Like I used to tell folks in jail, like, man, that dude right there, every time his brothers them hit that part, he would break off from us and go play with his brothers. And he said, back then, Tanner didn't even know. We used to be like, oh, look at them. They're so cute. That's cute. Look at the big brother being a big brother. He said, we picked that child a little at me, rather a little bit just because you was one of those responsible behind little dudes that would go and play with your brothers. And it wasn't even that. I just didn't want them to be around these knuckleheads and pick up anything from them. I knew that I was going to be straight because I knew I was frightened of my parents. I mean? I didn't want no smoke from them. They told me from day one, you mess up out there, you gonna come have to deal with me. So I didn't care about no jail, no police. I care about messing up and having to come deal with them. So
And your parents was the jail, right?
bingo. So and I just knew I didn't want my brothers because when you got younger siblings, they don't always follow you. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to make sure that I can do everything I can do to never let them see what was going on outside of what I wanted them to see. And Corey G told me when he got a prison, he said, man, Tan, I was sitting in prison. I said, I wish I had a big brother that did that to me, just to see all us make it, and be, playing ball. He said, man, that was special to him. And he said, and he shared those stories in jail. People was like, damn, I ain't know that. And they was already fans of just seeing us, knowing that we was from that neighborhood and knowing we was from their hometown. But he was like, a lot of people kind of like, appreciated me a little more. And then my dad is a correction officer. So a lot of those guys done met him before behind those walls. So, you know what I mean? I to this day, my dad retired now. I get guys that pop up on me, say, hey, man, I'm coming to say what's up. One, you was one of my favorite, ball players, but your dad showed me a lot, man. I learned a lot from your dad when I was locked up, man. And I owe him, like guys done bought me drinks at bars and clubs. Like, man, your dad taught me the game behind bars. And that's something that my dad wanted to do for people. People look at COs as these people that's straight ruling you and making you do things you don't want to do while you're locked up, treating you bad because you're behind bars. My dad wanted to be a CEO more so to help these kids when they get there to know how to handle themselves as men. You know, it's a lot of kids being put behind the wall and they don't know how to grow. They didn't know what to do on the street. That's why they're in jail. And now you in jail, you definitely ain't gonna know what to do now because half of you too young to understand that it's a different code and rules. So my old man used to always share stories with me how he bumped into a couple of my friends and they tell him, hey, I'm Santana friend. And he say it hurts him. And he tried to just give them the guidance that they need to make it through that situation. Cause some of them don't make it, you know? And so I'm, you know, a lot of stuff that's instilled in me that I was able to share with my brothers, it came from my mom and my dad. So that's why I take all that praise, but I give it to them because that's who I saw do it. So it's easy for me to go out and emulate them.
Hey, Sinorice, not only did you have to be afraid of your dad, because and your mom, but you had Santana, your big brother, also, right?
For sure. Yeah, because he definitely got on me, man. He stayed on us, man, all the time. He stayed on us all the time. And that's something that, you know, you greatly appreciate because, you know, a lot of guys don't have that. You know, a lot of guys, you know, go outside and they're by themselves. They're just defending themselves on the street or in the neighborhood. And I had my big brother there to keep me in line or make sure that, you know, I wasn't doing anything that he wasn't doing, you know. So I greatly appreciate that, for sure.
So let's talk a little bit about your careers after football. Santana, you went into the broadcast booth as far as sports broadcasting and everything. So Noah, he's trying to take my job. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. But I was like, all these ex-football players trying to take my job where I went to school. But no, I like the fact that, you know, he comes with great knowledge and everything because some people, they're not good at that even though they were athletes, but at least he breaks down stuff that's what makes it special. So Santana, I wanted you to talk about the you know, moving into the broadcast booth. Did you see yourself? And Sanoa, you the actor, as far as let me just throw out some things that you've been in. The Best Man, I told you, one of my favorites, the final chapter 2022. You played in the last fall 2012. You played Drew Irvin. Fragment 2019. You played Trey, and you've been in. You know, the list goes on and commercials and everything. And I was like, okay. So talk to me about how did you get into that? Was that something you? Well, you know, going back to your childhood, I kind of know that was kind of in your blood since you wanted to stay in there and watch TV and all of that kind of stuff. But talk about the paths that you two took after football was over.
I'll go down. I mean, for myself, for myself, when I finally, you know, made the decision to stop playing, I think that was like 2013. The last fall actually had came out in 2012. I was actually in Canada playing for the Canadian Football League in 2012. And the film, The Last Fall, came out, and that was with Lance Gross, Nicole Bahari. It was directed and written by Matthew Cherry, a great friend of mine. And he's doing amazing things in Hollywood right now. And after that opportunity, man, I had so many different auditions that were coming in my way. And I was sitting there like, man, you know, when I start playing this game, man, this is what I really want to do. This is what I've always wanted to do. And so when I finally, you know, called it quits and hung up my cleats in 2013, I moved to LA 2014, and I hit the ground running. I was, you know, doing PA jobs and working behind the scenes, trying to learn the game and learn the system of how Hollywood really works, and, you know, getting my headshots and everything. And, you know, those opportunities kept coming. You know, I kept applying myself, going to classes and everything else, and booking roles, and still booking them to this day. So the journey has been definitely, it's definitely been a tough journey. It hasn't been easy at all. You know, a lot of people see you, you know, on TV, and they see you on these shows, and they think that you automatically just got it because I was a former athlete. You know, a lot of guys ask me like, oh, you booked that because you played football. I was like, man, those people don't know I play football, because I don't even tell anyone I play football. You know, eventually they find out that I was a former athlete, but they have no clue. You know, I go in there, I applied myself, and I did the work to book those jobs.
Yeah, you know, for me, this kind of fell in my lap, honestly. And I try to, I'm one of those guys. Uh, no, I didn't see myself doing this after football. I didn't know what I was going to do after football. I remember 2014, after those first few weeks, and I probably spoke to you through that process when I wasn't playing, and folks was coming up to me like, "Do you see yourself playing?" I still had in my mind like, no one beat me out of my job yet. I can still play this game. This coaching staff don't know me and they don't owe me anything. So if they don't want me to play because they have other things going on, that's cool. I know I still had at least 3 more years on my body, but also I'm not naive. I'm a wise vet that understand that you as good as your whatever you put out there on tape. And when you're not able to go out there and stretch your stuff and do what you can do, then the other team's going to look at you the same way. Like, why should we give you a shot if, your team didn't give you a shot? So I had that perspective in mind and I wasn't tripping. I didn't, like I said before, I live this life knowing that everything you get, you have to go out there and either take it or, earn it. And I played, that was my 14th season. And I'm saying to myself, what's next? Like, I was focused, trying to get myself ready for whatever may come. And I want to give my agents them a lot of credit, through that process. Drew Rosenhaus, him and his brother Jason, they don't get enough credit for what they do with us off the field. They hear Drew Rosenhaus and they think shark. They think, and it's shark should be a good thing for him because that's what you want your agent to be, a shark. Go after the money. Go get us the big money. One of the things I've always done is showed up on the field, so make his job easy. And that's how our relationship was. I didn't call Drew for much, but Drew was always at everything I had going on. And I remember I got a call from them. They was watching how that season was, transpiring. And they was like, Tanner, it's a program coming up. I remember us talking some years ago that you said you might go back to school when you're done and get your master's. So it's a program coming up at the University of Miami that you might be interested in. You want to get your master's? Now, by this time, this year 14. So that's 14 years out of college. I'm sitting there like, I don't know. And they was like, well, sleep on it, bud.
I ain't trying to go back.
Exactly. So I slept on it. And when they called me again, I wasn't ready I didn't have an answer, but I didn't know what I wanted to do next. And it was winding down to the time to the season to be over with. And I've already knew that was my last season as a Redskin. That was my contract year. That was the year that now I'm going to be a free agent again. And so having talks with them, they're like, look, man, this is how it's going to go. You're much older in the game now. Folks know you still can play. But when you don't play for your team, it's going to take some time. They're going to be pulling teeth almost to see if you worthy enough to get a chance to come out here and compete, which you shouldn't be handled that way, but that's life. So I say, I understand. You ain't got to tell me nothing. You ain't got to go out there and bump your gums more than you should have to. Everything is on film. So even with me not playing, I thought I did enough on the practice side because I went against the ones every day to show them that I can still do this. But I understand the game. And so I told those guys, gave them a call. I said, I'm going to take y'all up on that offer and go and apply myself back into school because I was doing a lot of stuff business-wise that I wasn't sure of. I was just doing it because I had the money. And so I went and got my MBA. And throughout that first year, while I was taking, those classes, I was still waiting, trying to see if I'm gonna get that call. And I gave myself 8 weeks. I said by week 8, if I don't get the call that I want, then I'm gonna call it quits, And it's crazy. Right when I gave I gave them that call, like it's over. A call came in or two. And Drew had been talking to teams the whole while, but it wasn't the call that I was looking for. And a call came in, it's like, Tanner still want to play. And I told them, let's be realistic, I'm a guy that's always prepared, and I want to go in when the season starts. But being off this long, man, they're not going to get the same Tanner. They're not going to get the same product that they saw in Washington. I've been sitting home, you're eating differently, you're working out different. No matter what you're doing, working out wise, you're not going to be able to emulate what those guys are doing on that field, So I was like, I'm good, And I remember giving the call to Dan, like, hey, man, I'm going to retire Redskin. You ain't got nothing to worry about. So I'm just letting you know that I'm not going nowhere else. And Dan told me to come up and see him. And I came up to see him. And as I'm on the sideline just talking, everybody hadn't seen me in so long. You got to think about it, from being there for 10 years and not seeing me. This is the first year I'm not playing and the season is going on. It was 2015. It was actually on their little playoff run. And a couple of media outlets asked me what was I doing and do I want to work. So I'm like, work doing what? They was like, doing this. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And to tell you the truth, when I played, I was always eager to get in front of the camera to share my side of the story. You know what I mean? To be able to write my own narrative, because you hear so many times
to tell the truth, right?
yeah, I experienced that a lot too throughout my playing years. If you don't speak up, then they're gonna say what they want to say. So that's much harder than just getting up there and talking football and trying to be correct, about what you're seeing that's going on now. It's easy to talk as a player because we are players, you know what I mean? So we can pinpoint some of the things that we see naturally. But I would never take your job. You're a journalist, and that's what you got for. So don't never be worried about me doing that. I don't even try to be a journalist.
I'm messing with you.
I know. I just want to let you know though. But I try to always just be the mouth or the ears and the eyes to the fans from a player, standpoint. Is give them what I see and try to be as exact as I can be. You're never gonna be pinpoint on some of the stuff that's going on, but I just give it from my take, and hopefully they get it. And what I've learned over the years, this is year seven or eight now for me. You get better every year. You get better, you get more comfortable, and that's what I've been doing. Like folks don't know about me is I hate large crowds. I hate eyes on me. I get anxiety from that, and I've been dealing with that as a child all my life. And that's probably why a lot of folks didn't know. That's why I'm always, reserved and quiet. I'm not quiet amongst those folks who know me. I'm just quiet around groups of people because at the end of the day, like I'm going through it. You know what I mean? So over time of doing what I'm doing now on TV, even sharing this story with you today, I'm comfortable now. You know what I mean? I don't know if that was a way I should have been combating that, that problem, but I'm able to now understand how to, deal with it. So, man, it's been a journey, and I'm loving it. I'm honestly loving it. But what I want to get into more so down the line, because I've been doing a lot of it here and there, is being able to share stories and go out and be a speaker to some of these folks that need to hear some of the things that I have to say. Because I got a lot to share. I'm about to have a book come out pretty soon. I haven't started writing it, but I'm going through the steps now, finding that right person who I want to get behind it and do it, because I got a lot of stuff to talk about, man.
And that's key, getting the right person behind, as far as to make sure your story and the most important thing, Santana, is you being able to write your own story. I mean, they can clean it up and whatever, but they can't write the story the way you yourself can. And much success too. And I know we kept you a little longer, both of you all, but you got so many nuggets to drop on people that they don't know, as far as what you shared today. And it's so much more. But you all are example that you can make it if you put in the work. Their dreams can come true. Erin Jackson, the speed skater, the Olympic gold medalist, she said something. She said, dream big, start small, but most of all, just start. And with whatever you want to do in life. So thank you all for coming. Santana Moss, Sinorice Moss brothers, that you shared so much with me today. And definitely we got to do this again with Tony, of course, the next time.
Hey, anytime for y'all, man. I appreciate you, Donna.
And as Tony say, we don't say goodbye. We say in the minute.
In a minute.